The Bruce Springsteen controversy is kind of hilarious. After years of divisiveness on his part, his Jeep commercial calls for the country to come together. In Kansas, apparently. After saying that he would have had to move to Australia had Trump been reelected, he's now calling for us to unite. That's the same kind of nonsense we've seen from Democrats in general. Nancy Pelosi called our federal law enforcement stormtroopers when Trump had to send them in to stop left wing riots. Then, when it was politically advantageous for her, she called them heroes. I would play part of the commercial for you guys, but I can't. It's been pulled down by Jeep after hearing that Springsteen was arrested for DUI a few months ago. So not only did they choose an outspokenly divisive person to spread a message of unity and healing, they hired someone who probably has a suspended driver's license to promote an automobile. Now, the last part doesn't bother me all that much. Of course, drunk driving is dangerous and a terrible thing to do, and anyone who hurts or kills someone else due to their disregard for others should not be celebrated. At least not for that. But the man had already shown the world his disregard for our country, not only through his music, but his comments about Donald Trump and this election. And somehow the people at Jeep thought he would be a good vehicle to spread the message of unity. In a video that my blue-collar brother, Dave Morrison, did in 2019 called Chuck Berry vs. Bruce Springsteen, Two Visions of America, Mr. Morrison lays it out beautifully. Here's a clip.
Bruce didn't feel the pain of ordinary Americans. He imagined that pain. Berry felt it for real, and that's why he understood that along with the pain comes genuine joy. That joy comes as a payment for putting up with the drag jobs and traffic jams and spouses who turn out not to be visitors from our dreams. Both men had songs about the promised land. Of course, Springsteen's was about how enraging real life was. Chuck's was a wild romp across America where things went wrong and good people saved the day. For Springsteen, the promised land was unattainable. For Chuck Berry, America was the promised land. Chuck Berry saw an ascendant nation where a person had every reason to be confident about the future. Bruce, on the other hand, saw himself as the voice of a supposedly broken and disheartened country. His songs gave encouragement to guilt-ridden intellectuals who were engineering our descent into negativity, victimology, and class warfare. Darkness at the edge of town, indeed.
Dave eloquently, and very musically I might add, pointed out how Bruce has always looked at America with a bit of contempt, a country that allowed him to reach a status few will ever achieve. I'll put a link to Dave's video in the description. I think it's one of his best. Look, Springsteen, a guy who was recently arrested for driving drunk, who said publicly that he could never unite with a country that re-elected Donald Trump, was probably the wrong person for a car company to hire to give his endorsement for driving a Jeep in a commercial intended to unite the country. Now, I doubt that the people at Chrysler Fiat, Jeep's parent company, knew about his DUI arrest. But they had to know that Springsteen was anti-Trump to the point of threatening to leave the country, like so many other celebrities have proclaimed, with most never leaving, I should point out. And to still think he's the guy they chose to call for unity shows us just how politically deaf so many on the left really are. Of course, I'm making an assumption about the people at Chrysler Fiat, but they didn't hire Kid Rock or James Woods, and no one is hiring people who have openly supported Trump to endorse their products. That's a one-way ticket to cancellation station. I want to close by saying that I don't agree with cancel culture. Whether it's the right-leaning Disney actor who retweeted something that Democrats don't like, or the left-leaning 45-year veteran at the New York Times who dared to say a word that's forbidden to be uttered by a white person, regardless of context. Cancel culture is terrible for our country. I believe that we're all very flawed individuals and will continue to make mistakes. We should learn from those mistakes, and we should strive to be better. But when we cancel others for perceived flaws and mistakes, we're creating a world where truth and facts are increasingly hidden. A society that won't talk about issues in a way that makes us better. You can't admit to having said or done the wrong thing because you will be canceled by people who've also said and done the wrong things. They just won't admit to it. That's no way to unify a society, and that's no way to make this world a better place. I don't want anything to do with Bruce Springsteen being canceled, and that's even if I don't agree with his outlook of America. If anything, this should be a moment that leads us into a discussion about the dangers of drunk driving, a moment that allows us to grow. But we can't grow by tearing down everyone who makes a mistake or thinks differently than we do. Society doesn't benefit from cancel culture. And I realize there is a significant percentage of the population, mostly on the left, that use it to divide us and hurt their fellow man. That is their intention. And I talk plenty about those kinds of people on this channel. And maybe the boss is one of those people. But if you're an honest person, if you think of yourself as having a good heart, you have to stop accepting the twisted logic behind cancel culture. You have to start accepting people for who they are, flaws and all. And that includes yourself. It's the only way that we can press forward with making ourselves better and our society a better place. And that's the simple truth. Now check out Dave's video, Chuck Berry versus Bruce Springsteen. You will not be disappointed. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, subscribe to our channel, and if you want to become a supporting member of Blue Collar Logic, click on the link in the description and give what you can.